This is why you should work for free.
People are obsessed with monetizing their labor. But that's for good reason. You need to do that to survive. Like, I need these. Some of the most fulfilling, important, and career-moving projects that I've done have all been for the love of the game. So much so that I attribute a lot of my best paid clientele from either the skills or the connections that I've made on these passion projects.
Why would I want you on my race team?
Because I'm fast.
This lean is crazy.
So in this video, I'm going to tell you how this almost $40,000 mini dock got put together for free. How you could theoretically do the same. Tell you a little bit about the story behind the project and show you some of my favorite photos and videos from a once-in-a-lifetime shoot. Let me start with Aaron actually being able to assemble a large group of people to work for free on such a professional project. The most important thing with this is community.
To help illustrate my point, I'm going to be calling Aaron out of the blue and asking him to shoot something for me for free with minimal time. We'll see if he's free tomorrow. Let's also see if he even answers. Hi, what's up, man?
What's up, Doc?
What are you doing this week? Maybe preferably, what are you doing tomorrow?
Just editing.
Just editing? I need help shooting something. Would you be down?
What is it?
It's a sick photo shoot. I just really need your help.
What time?
Anytime tomorrow. I was thinking like afternoon, like
Where?
sunsetty in Redlands.
Okay.
You're down? Success! Guys, this is a great example of why people like Aaron will get people on shoots without paying them. Because he'll do it for you. This was a test. Bye, Aaron. See you later. That's the most important thing to do, is be willing to offer your services, because this is a community. Sorry. You passed the test. I didn't even question it. Like, I knew you would do it. Which, this is the point. But you don't mind if I put it in a video?
No, I don't care.
I'm not going to pay you either. That's another test. Aaron is also down to be put in a YouTube video without, like, I didn't even ask his consent to record this. Anyway, Aaron, thanks.
So here is the secret combo, I think. Number one, you have to be willing to help. The fact that Aaron is just so readily willing to work for free for me makes me comfortable when he asks me to help, that he's not going to waste my time, and that if I need to later, I can call upon him. It's an exchange, it's a community. The second thing in this combo is a pretty hard rule. If anybody is getting paid, especially if that's you, then everybody needs to get paid. Exceptions include gear rentals and sometimes talent, but most of the time, if it's a passion project and you want everybody there working for passion, either everybody gets paid or nobody does. The third thing is, it's often overlooked, but you gotta do something cool. You can't call up your friend and be like, hey bud, I know you've been wanting to work on your lighting skills. Well, I've got this corporate interview and it's just gonna be thrilling. They're gonna talk about spreadsheets. It's not gonna fly. You have no idea how much it helps to actually just be like, well, we're shooting people who ride really fast on motorcycles. Like, I love shooting that. That sounds fun. And other than just being fun, it also could be something that would be a great portfolio piece for everybody involved. For instance, this mini doc is about motorcycle racers, and I'm gonna wanna get more work like that, so I'm gonna put it on my portfolio. Speaking of the mini doc, let me explain what it is. There are three characters important to this story: Lisa, Tank, and Newcomb's Ranch, the famous restaurant on the Angeles Crest Highway. One day in 2020, the famous diner slash bike and car meetup spot closed unexpectedly. Employees left personal items in lockers and prepared the kitchen for the next day of service. That next day never came. Later down the road, that building started getting subject to vandalization and break-ins. Because of this, a deal was struck up between the owner of Newcomb's Ranch and a couple of crazy motorcycle racers. They could stay in the building that they rode by all the time as long as they kept out vandals and maintained the property. They took up that deal, accepted the challenge, and we wanted to document it. Well, the main subject of the documentary, Lisa, was looking for a way to show off her talents to submit to the Build Train race program. It's so helpful. Holy shit, that moon is crazy, I just realized. Guys, I know I've been just yapping at you this whole time, and I really want to act like I planned this, but this is actually the last supermoon in this year of 2025, and I accidentally framed it up perfect, and I think in some of that talking shot, I got it rising, so that's cool. Let me talk more about the project though. Buy-in from the main subject, Lisa, is actually incredibly important. The whole project runs a lot smoother when you have a subject that's just down to do anything to make it better. There's nothing worse than someone who is not fully into the project. I'm gonna walk directly into the moon. This is beautiful. So it really helps when the subject is fully bought into the project, like Lisa was for this, because it benefits her quite a bit. Another thing that's important is we didn't just ask some random person who had some cool thing going on out of the blue. Our directors, Aaron and Morgan, both had a previous friendship with Lisa and were able to realize that this is something she wanted, and it aligned with something they wanted, which is to make a really cool project. That was really cool. Okay. It's getting incredibly dark and cold, so we're gonna move to somewhere else. Much warmer and cozier. Welcome to my office. It is a horrid mess, but don't mind that. We're gonna talk about how I shot photos for this project, and then why I chose what I did. We're gonna go into it, don't worry about it. First off, at the time, I was obsessed with this 3D camera, the Nishika 3D N8000. I made a whole video about it. If you want to watch that, please feel free. I feel like it drastically underperformed. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever made, and Aaron actually directed the intro to that, so that's fun. With this project, there were a few things I needed to get for the production, like a photo for the poster. There were some textures that were originally going to go into the edit and didn't end up making it, but overall, the decision making on how I took photos was up to me. I had a hard time narrowing down what I wanted to focus on, so I brought that 3D film camera, another film camera, a panoramic film camera, my Nikon ZF and my Nikon Z8. I brought direct flashes for almost all of them. I brought high-powered off-camera flashes, softboxes, reflectors, kind of just everything I had to see what I would want to end up shooting with. If I were to do it again, I think I would focus on one style and just run with that. I really enjoyed a lot of my direct flash stuff. I really enjoyed a lot of my 3D stuff, but what stuck out to me the most were photos that really represented the project. None of us really knew the theme of this until we started shooting. It being a little bit of a mini documentary, you don't know until you get the interview. Now in retrospect, it was a lot about speed, and the photos I enjoyed the most are the ones that really exemplify the speed at which Liz was going. All of that was very fun, but when you're doing documentary photography or photographing any subject at all, one of the most important things, and the thing that everyone overlooks, is comfortability with the subject. It really helped that our directors knew our subjects already, but even better than that, Tank and Lisa are incredibly nice people who immediately I got along with, and I feel like we all felt comfortable within the first maybe 10-15 minutes of meeting each other. I think that helped more than anything.
Why would I want you on my race team?
Because I'm fast.
I wrote something down that I think sums it up. I'm gonna read it off because I'm bad at remembering long phrases. Newcomb's Ranch is the type of place that doesn't make financial sense. It's far out of the way on a road that's only really driven when there's no real destination in mind. It's purely for the fun and passion of driving. I think you get what I'm going for here. This place was a great example of what all these talented people were doing. Making something, not for financial gain, but for the passion and joy of creating something cool. Just like the riders who drove this winding road, the challenge and the uniqueness of the experience was the goal. It also didn't hurt that we made a kick-ass product in the end. So after we made it, what do you do with it? This is hard because you put a lot of work into something like this. Posting it on Instagram feels like shit. So Aaron and Morgan wanted to do something better. Thankfully, they have connections at the bike shed. We set up a premiere. That's happening in 2 weeks from now. For me, I don't know when I'm actually gonna post this, but I think the actual feeling of putting something you made and spent this much time and effort into out on a screen with other people in the room is so important. It's not just going into the ether, it's a shared experience with the people you made it with and friends and family. If you've ever done this, you understand. It really impacts you in a different way than just sharing on social media. So I encourage you, even if you're just contributing to a project, it's not your project, but you're helping out, try to get some sort of physical showing. I think we've really stepped away from doing it. And I think we should get back to it. So what to do when you're done? Put it in a physical space. Man, I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe. And goodbye forever. Okay. I'm gonna burn these.